Hello and welcome to another fun-filled nonsense retrospective. I'm your host as always, Rick. Joining me equally as always is Devon.
Ready to join the fight, Guardian, or something else cool that Shaq says.
Yep. And it will have to fall back to Shaq, seeing as we're not going to get much more Zavala for obvious reasons. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about Destiny 2, specifically the new Lightfall expansion. Well, not so much new anymore, but the most recent. But before we get too far into that, let's go with our good old time-honored tradition of the nonsense, asinine hypotheticals. And do you have one for me today?
Yeah, I've been bouncing back and forth between two different questions, but they're both in the same vein, so let's go for the easier one of the two.
Okay.
Who is your Destiny 2 waifu?
Oh man, it probably would have been Holiday, but that train has sailed.
You can be a widower, it's fine.
So I'm going to go for the low-hanging fruit of Mara Sov, everyone's Destiny waifu.
Oh, that's the queen, isn't it?
Yeah, she got that. She reminds me very much of the goth waifu from Farscape in a good way, and yeah, a lot of people are thirsty for Mara Sov, and I'm a bit of a basic bitch. I'm one of them. How about you? Who is your Destiny 2 waifu? Or Destiny 1 even?
Destiny 1? What?
I mean, Destiny 1 exists.
No, it doesn't, no, does it? If you want to be technical.
All right. I can find a disc of Destiny 1 in my room. It won't fucking work, but I can find a disc of a game that did exist in the past.
Alright, okay. But yeah, my waifu's obvious. It's Sloane.
Yeah. She's a very good pick, especially for your proclivities. And she's a badass and fun to see.
She is. I also think that she's going to take over Zavala's role rather than Shaq's, but I've not been keeping up with the deep story.
Oh, yeah.
She might sacrifice herself or something.
If Zavala is going to get, replaced, it's going to be a combination of Sloane, maybe Satan 14.
It won't be Satan 14 because... Here's the actual reality of things, Rick. It can't be Saint 14. He needs to stay in his place in the tower to do Trials of Osiris.
Yeah.
That's the same reason why it won't be Shaq's.
Well, Zavala also all he does is the thing that he does, just give the Trials of Osiris thing to Osiris. Put Osiris where Saint 14 stands.
Yeah, but Osiris is off fucking having adventures around the universe.
Yeah, he's now a quest giver on Neomuna.
It's one of those where, you gotta remember, you gotta think of gameplay when you think of who's going to be the replacement, and the obvious replacement right now will be Sloane. The depressing fact of the matter is, we know that for Zavala to be written out of Destiny, Zavala needs to actually die, because there's no way Zavala's sitting on a planet drinking pina coladas while by the beachside while there's an invasion going on. That's not in his character.
Which might as well be what Cade's doing in the trailer.
Yeah, but guess what? It's more in line with Cade.
Yeah.
I can believe that Cade would go on vacation for 6 weeks, and it'd be like, Cade, we could really use your help, and Cade would be like, I'm on holiday.
Yep. This is the voicemail of Cade 6.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely Sloane.
Yeah. But my one for you is... We have 3 light elements and 2 dark elements. Stands to reason we're going to get a 3rd dark element with the final shape expansion that's coming up. What would be your fantasy 3rd dark element?
Yeah, I ain't got a fucking clue, is the short answer. Takes a bit more time than 5 minutes to come up with an entirely new class. But, yeah, the unfortunate reality, using the... You know how the Taken have that giant fucking dark orb they summon that then has a little aura around it that slows you down and makes you shit?
Oh, yeah, Taken Blight.
Yeah, it'd be that.
So a black subclass that's all about Blight.
I'm just pulling something out of the game because my creative juices are not flowing and I don't have enough time to come up with something actually interesting. But you came up with a question, so I'm going to assume you're going to blow my mind right now. Go for it.
I'd probably go with something like Sanguine. Make it like a red vampire-themed control subclass, and the control element is most likely going to be you get a little pet. We've seen pets in the past in that you get a little shoulder buddy of a circle that does damage, and with the threadlings, which are just essentially homing projectiles. I'd like to see the super based around that. You get a little pet that shows up for a little bit of time and then fucks off.
I wouldn't really call any of what you described a pet, but okay.
And maybe for Warlock, being able to puppeteer enemies, turn anything below boss status into an ally for a few seconds, maybe 10-20 seconds.
That's more than a few seconds.
Okay, but in a shooter, it kind of isn't, because if an enemy has the same AI that they have against players, against other enemies, they're probably not going to fire that much. So it's probably not going to do much damage unless they're allied for quite some time.
What I'd do is I'd tweak that a bit, because what you're describing would be bollocks to implement, if you get what I I mean? What I'd probably do is like similar sort of concept, just flip it on its head in the sense that you give the selected enemy an aura that makes enemies prioritize it as a target.
Yeah, I could see that. Like a super hatred aura. You tell all the other enemies that guy's been cancelled on Twitter and they all start firing on him.
I feel like that's a bit more implementable. Again, I don't think it would be very effective on bosses, but bosses have shields and so it wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah, like if you do it at the wrong time, then it just wouldn't be implemented. Well, it wouldn't actually do much at all. But these days, most bosses have ads, so it actually probably would be pretty good. So if you pick the right time, then just imagine fighting Callus and you do that, and then his tormentors just turn on him for a few moments.
I don't think it would apply to boss enemies. I think boss enemies would be above the aggro. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, so red bars would be able to be turned. Yellow bars not.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, all right. Yeah.
Turned on, but yeah.
I think anyone should be able to turn on, but it's the low rank and file should be the ones doing the turning. Like anyone that with a yellow bar or greater has probably got too high of a willpower to be easily manipulated into.
Like fuck the law justification. It's just it would be bollocks if a tormentor started attacking the actual boss.
Yep, because we've had to deal with tormentors. They're not fun.
They're not. They're one of the least fun things to fight in Destiny. Unless you've got a fire team, and there's a whole fire team, they're nothing. So it's one of those where it's a real balancing issue of one-on-one, they're a pain in the arse because they've almost always got ads shooting you in the arse while you're trying to deal with them. And then as a fire team, they become inconsequential.
Yeah, because one person just kites them and the other one's just to kill it. So yeah, today we're talking about Lightfall. It was the most recent expansion launched. I think it was actually the end of last year, and then we picked it up beginning of this year.
Yeah, we picked it up near the end of the Defiance season.
Yeah, like middle or end of the season of Defiance, which was the first season that launched with it.
Right.
I didn't know that when you got the game, you got one season. You got the first season that you drop yourself into, and then the other ones you have to pay for. Because I didn't read.
I also didn't know this, but I've got to be honest with you, I only bought the expansion because you said, hey, the expansion's currently cheap, and I went, fuck it.
Yep. Well, here's the thing, we probably wouldn't have played the game at all if it weren't for the fact that the current expansion was cheap, and then they did a multi-pack of all the old expansions apart from Forsaken, which we already own, which also you can't play. So,
There's a lot of things we can shit on. Well, the reason why we wanted to specifically deal with plot is because Destiny's actual business plan infuriates us, as I'm sure it infuriates a lot of people. That being said, I do think we do want to dwell a little bit on what's quite so annoying about Destiny's financial thing. Just very quickly, I would have picked up Destiny anyway because I re-downloaded it just because I have PlayStation Plus and the previous expansion, which gave you the time bullshit, was free for PlayStation Plus users. So I would have played through that and then probably stopped.
Yeah. So you've got that and you've got Witch Queen for free. I think the only one you don't have is the Eris Morn doing hive shit on the moon expansion.
I would have assumed that was part of Witch Queen.
No, it was like 2 years before.
All right, I'm just saying.
That one's the earliest one included in the stuff. The Witch Queen is the one that's apart from the current one, the most recent. So yeah, we start the new expansion by heading to Neomuna, which is a moon of Neptune, to stop the Witness, who is a guy with massive eyes, a big monobrow, and hair made out of souls.
He looks like a volcano going up.
He is Callus's master. Callus being the emperor of the Cabal, who sat on his throne all the way through Destiny 2 Vanilla.
Just going to cut you off very quickly here, Rick. I distinctly remember messaging you after finding out that he was the bad guy again, and my exact words were, "Why are we still fighting this guy?"
Yeah, how have we not killed him yet? Like, we've got Empress Keitel, who's like usurped his role as the emperor.
Yeah, but she's also our buddy.
yeah, she's our buddy. So there's two factions of Cabal, actually three factions now. There's Keitel's faction, which appears to be the biggest. There's the Red Legion holdouts, who for some reason are still following the will of Gaul, despite the fact that he died like in universe multiple years ago, out of universe also multiple years ago. And you've got the Shadow Legion, which are a bunch of clones of criminals, condemned, and otherwise disgraced mutineers, which is what Callus uses. So yeah, Callus has been been given this Shadow Legion. They've got some darkness powers. The new mechanic is some of these guys have this beacon on their back, and when they die, they drop the beacon, which makes shields. So get rid of those.
It's that weird fucking thing that looks like DNA made out of rocks.
Yeah.
I've never called it by its actual name. I've never looked at its actual name. I've always looked at it and go, that's DNA.
It's just stuff. Like it's something with a reasonably cool effect, and as far as reasonably cool effects go, they're not going to beat the Taken.
Oh god, no, that was a real highlight.
Yeah, and I think what they're trying to do is in this opening mission is call back to when like the Taken King was new, and like the opening was going through a ship. The ship is getting blown apart as you go through, and like seeing the new effect and being wowed. This time round, there are multiple parts where both of us followed what we thought was the progression of the level and jumped into the void.
Okay, there was one point I remember, because I got to a window and I went, where do I go? And then when I actually found out where to go, I went, that's bollocks, that looks like a background element.
Yep, that's basically a thing in this expansion, that a lot of things you have to jump on look like background elements and they're not, which is kind of cool in that you can like jump on them, parkour on them and everything. However, you don't get the ability to reliably do that until you've completed the campaign.
Oh, you're talking about the specific strand sections, aren't you?
Yeah, so there are some strand sections where you are encouraged to use your Spider-Man power and like web sling. Like you can parkour without it, but with the safety net, it's much easier, and you probably won't have to reset quite as often.
I'm jumping a bit ahead, but I will say the Spider-Man powers doomed me more than helped me in that final boss fight. But whatever, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Yep.
We should probably expressly point out that part of the reason why we're here is we're basically, I wouldn't say babysitting Osiris, but we're kind of babysitting Osiris, because he fucked off ahead of us and was like, yeah, let's do this shit. And the game helpfully tells you that at some point Osiris lost his ghost. I can't remember if that happened during an expansion we actively played, but it sounds like it did.
It seems like it would have happened in there was probably going to be a season where we got the real Osiris back, because it turns out that the Osiris that we had, we got an opening cutscene that tells us a bunch of things, like Osiris, as we know him, actually was Savathun, and now Savathun's dead because of Witch Queen. So now we've got the real Osiris back, and he's wanting to prove that he's still an old badass, despite the fact that his ghost is dead and he no longer has the light. So he's like shouting over radio, I'm gonna destroy this ship with or without you. And like, help or fuck off, and you have to chase him through the entire ship because he won't slow down.
I don't blame him for not slowing down. Unlike every other Guardian, he's got one.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a theme for this entire plot, because I can't remember if it's the next mission or the one after, where Osiris is all guns blazing, ready to charge ahead, and the two Cloud Striders basically say, specifically the older fella, whose name I've forgotten because he's been dead for longer than alive at this point in my game.
Rohan.
That's it, Rohan. He basically says, yeah, it's real easy to be gung-ho when you don't have to care.
Yeah.
Like, we get one Guardian.
Yeah, I think Osiris just has a little sad because, they know that he knows that he's only got one life. I don't think he's broached the subject with them yet.
Yeah, maybe not. But just don't forget, just to put emphasis on how much more of a badass pretty much everyone you meet is than you, they usually have one.
Yes. Holiday, in particular, also only has one, except for the fact that we see her die, and then she shows up again in the season.
Don't even. But yeah, it's one of those where, the one I always point to is, like, I feel like it's understated how badass Devrim is.
Yes.
Because he's just a dude with a sniper rifle.
He's a dude in a sniper rifle in a church, and everyone knows where that church is, and they still go near it, and he still kills them.
And he's always so casual about it, and then saying, I want some tea now, because he's British, and that's always... It's okay to be racist to the Brits, because we're partly evil.
Yeah, we stole the tea. We can't grow it, so we have to steal it from India and trade for it from China for opium.
Yeah, we don't need to give the world a history lesson. People know we suck.
Yeah, we're assholes.
Not us specifically. The royal family and their lot. We're just common as schmuck fucking Joes.
Yeah, us being the world's #1 supplier of Independence Days.
That is the joke. I thought we were already going to drop this, so come on.
Yeah, let's go. So, the first mission ends with you blowing up the ship that you're on and going down to Neptune, and then you have an ending victory lap of the opening mission where you get to play with the new element, and then it goes away because you're tired.
Yeah, I didn't really like it too much for Titan.
Yeah, so the Titan one, it's just another melee one, isn't it?
It feels like Arc again, except it's green.
Yeah.
That being said, as soon as I unlocked the class proper and I got the grenades that are basically throw it and you tie up the person you hit, then it started being fun.
Yeah, the suspend status effect, as it were, that's a really, really useful one. As a hunter, all you have to do is press your dodge while you're in midair, and it just like does a ground slam dive that has an aura of suspend. So it's like having a mini super. You know how like Arc Titan can do that with their melee, where the instead of just hitting something with a charge melee, if they do it from midair, they just ground pound.
No, I don't know that because I don't use Arc.
Sure. Yeah, you use mostly Void, don't you?
Void, and if I'm in the Crucible, I use Solar.
Yeah, Sombro in the Crucible. But yeah, having played all three, I personally think that the Hunter one is the most fun of the three.
Sure.
Also partly because its intrinsic is that it starts with 2 of the grenade, which is grapple or suspend, or the third option, which is obviously the worst, which is make threadlings. I think Warlock is the one that's meant to make threadlings because they've got more things that revolve around it.
Sure. I know Titan's only gimmick with the Strand string, which I assume is universal. I've only unlocked Strand on Titan. Is if you hit a ball and swing off a ball, it instantly recharges.
Yeah, so if you're grappling from a ball, whether it's a faint one that's in the world and stays there, or a solid one that you've made, you don't consume your charge. You can even throw it, grapple onto it, and get dragged along with the trajectory of the throw.
Okay, I've not seen that happen, but sure.
I mean, you can do it yourself if you generate one somehow else.
Okay, but all I'm saying is I've not seen it happen. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying I've not seen it happen, so...
Sure.
I will say with the suspend grenades that suspend things, it's a very good thing we don't fight anything that looks very clearly feminine.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because a lot of the poses that the enemies go into, and it's usually Cabal, are very, like, change the body shape and it becomes mildly erotic.
Oh, yeah, like the Scions, yeah.
Okay.
So we talked about the Tormentors a little bit earlier, but they show up in the first mission. Normally they will show up to do their instant kill attack, and if you're not a Titan, you die, just to show you how badass they are, and then you fight one later, and then they just show up as mini-bosses all the way through the campaign.
Yeah, here's my biggest issue with the Tormentors is they do feel like they're just thrown into random fucking encounters. I don't know if that's the point, but it sucks.
Yeah, and they don't follow... Okay, they follow the aesthetic of pyramid stuff, but they don't follow the aesthetic of the Shadow Legion, which kind of bugs me, but it also kind of shouldn't, because half the campaign is just you being in a pyramid doing stupid shit, or at least that's what the season was at the time, which it was, in hindsight, it's now easy to separate main campaign from season, but when I was doing it and just blindly clicking on something that was shiny and saying you've got this to do today, it kind of folded together as, oh yeah, this is what's happening at the same time on another path, and I didn't know what was meant to be relevant to each other and what was meant to interweave.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. I didn't even bother doing the Defiant storyline. I did 2 before quickly realising this isn't fun.
Yep.
I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who had massive fun with the Defiant Battlegrounds. I in no way want to take it away from you. But me, on a personal level, I played them and I went, this is boring. This is wank.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the campaign.
Like, generally, they're just double-length strikes.
Yeah, except they're a bit more annoying than that because of the light level requirement, which I did not meet, but the game still let me play it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which means I was having a miserable time because I was dying very quickly, and my teammates were having a miserable time because I wasn't pulling my weight.
Yeah. That's one thing that they've changed this year as well. Like, in previous years, every time they've had a new season, they've increased the light cap, so everyone has to grind again just to do the normal story mode. This year they've made it basically soft cap of 1800, and then you can go beyond that if you're a crazy person or if you want to do raids, and that's going to be the cap for the entire year, the entire expansion. So whenever you get a new season, you can jump straight in.
Fine, I guess. I get the logic. I wish... I mean, I've not actually tried to do a raid, but I don't know if they have matchmaking now. I remember back in the day they didn't. You had to find a fire team yourself.
I believe legacy raids have experimental matchmaking, but the new ones don't.
That's bothersome, you see. I get it, the raids have got mechanics that require communication, so you're going to want to find people so you can be a bit sociable with them. However, you and I, Rick, we used to do raids with a circle of friends, and we roped in like two... They weren't randos, but they were people like only one or two people knew, and we'd do raids that way, and it's just not a possibility anymore. And I don't want to sound like a super fucking shut-in, but I don't like bonding with people over the internet, especially via shooting video games, because most of the times you'll get called a faggot or something worse. And I'm not even exaggerating. Apologies if you get offended by homophobic slurs. I use it for historical accuracy.
Yeah. What does Louis C.K. say? It's not meant to be a slur. It's meant to be an insult.
Oh, no. To be fair, I think the people who use it over Xbox and PlayStation and whatever, fucking pick your poison, I think they are meaning it as a slur, and I think they just don't care. And you know,
yeah,
because
there are
most
worse
of them are
slurs that they
13.
use as well. Oh yeah, the squeakers. Yeah.
Like, if I hear someone with a scratchy voice or a very high-pitched voice calling me a faggot, I'll be like, you're 12, grow some pubes, and then I might give a fuck.
Yeah, it's real easy to dismiss someone's disparaging comments when they squeak.
Yeah.
I could kick you off a building.
That's one of the reasons why I feel bad for an adult that's like shorter than, let's say, 5'10". There's nothing wrong with being short, but there's one of those where, for some reason, and I've seen this in action, teenagers and kids seem to think that if you're a short adult, that makes you easy pickings. Yeah,
which is why you have short person syndrome.
Yeah,
it's very much like small dog syndrome.
I had a boss once who was on the short side, and he was a fucking firecracker. He had such a short fuse, and it was the funniest thing ever, provided you weren't on the receiving end of it. Did I tell you about the time there was a balloon stuck in the ceiling? And
you may have done.
Yeah, go on.
But go ahead, because it's probably a good story.
But there was a helium balloon that went up and got stuck in the ceiling at work, and all the fucking managers, there was like 5 of them, were just gathered round, like, how do we get this down? So here's the solution, right? We'll get the forklift, put a pallet on the forklift, someone stands on the forklift, we raise it up. Now, I want to stress, we have a big old set of stairs that we can just move about the shop. They got the wheels on them. So this was entirely unnecessary. But they got the pallet there, and they were like, all right, so who should we get up? I know, let's send the shortest manager up there. So they got the shortest manager to stand on it, and of course you couldn't fucking reach it. It was on the fucking ceiling. If you've been to a supermarket, there's ceilings in them at all. Anyway, that balloon eventually just sort of deflated. It got left up there. They couldn't get it.
I was going to say, why would you bother trying to get it down? Like, the only reason that you'd really want to do so is if there was a kid who really wanted their own balloon back, Rick, and not to be given a new one.
My friend, it was a Sunday and the store was shut. There was no work. There was no work to do, and the managers were bored. That is quite clearly what had happened. I was looking at it from over where I was doing some actual fucking work, thinking, man, if they said I could just bring my bow in.
Yeah. Man, wouldn't it suck if you hit it, but it glanced off because the balloon was too powerful?
I can absolutely guarantee you the strength of my bow. That would not be a threat.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I'm thinking more a case of if it's already deflated a bit, it'd probably just be displaced by the initial touch and then just kind of glance off by being an annoying foil balloon.
Okay, I get you're trying to go for humour, but there's no way by the laws of physics that an arrow shot that powerfully is going to glance off.
Sure.
This thing, the first time I used the fucking thing, I accidentally shot a little to the left and it went straight through my shed.
Ah, sweet.
So, you know, at the very least, I know wood is no harm. And I'm glad we're talking about bows, because I've never had the least amount, so little fun than when using a combat bow in Destiny.
Yeah, I think they peaked when they were first released. When they first came out in Forsaken, like, you got given a bow and said, yeah, have a play with this. And they were fun then because they were OP, because it was new and interesting, and they had to make the new and interesting thing powerful. Nowadays, they're just kind of part of your arsenal, and most people barely use them unless you've got a specific legendary bow. And, like, the exotic bow that you got from the season that we got when we came in was shit. Like, it felt less like an exotic than almost any exotic I've ever had.
I did have fun when no word of a lie, I didn't check the description of the weapon, so I didn't know how to proc it very accurately, but I did have fun when occasionally you'd fire 5 shots instead of 1, and that was about it.
Okay, you build stacks by doing precision, and then when you want to fire multiple shots that make ice, you do it without without aiming.
Oh, well, I didn't know that at the time, so I would just randomly occasionally fire ice bullets, and it was fun. But, boy, I wish I could just do that on command.
Yep.
Go on,
as fun as that is, though, like, sometimes it's actually detrimental just to have ice bullets making cover for your enemies.
Yeah, but I don't care. It's fun.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I suppose it is one of the better ways to have stasis without being the stasis subclass, because normally it's just you have the element, things might sometimes freeze when you shoot them a lot. This, you actually can just lay down some cover. But yeah, I also went through the stasis campaign to get stasis, to play Lightfall with stasis.
Oh, okay.
Because it was new and interesting to me. Well, both were new and interesting to me. One of them by design, because everyone is new and interesting to everyone. The other one because I hadn't played the game since before it was launched.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because I'm just in love with Void and Solar from back when I played the game way back when, but none of the new elements have interested me. And I don't think it's because of nostalgia. I think it is literally just because I got Stasis, and hey, guess what? There's a lot of shit for Titan you get that is just boring, because unfortunately, the Titan's big gimmick is they're good at the shoot bang.
Well, the other thing is they're good at the punch fist, because a fist never has to be reloaded, I think is one of the Titan mottos.
Yeah, but that doesn't really apply because melee's permanent on everyone.
Yeah, but like the majority of Titan supers are you roam around and you've got a better punch for a little while.
Which I think is why I like Solar.
Yeah, because you can throw your punches, because they're hammers.
The nerve of them making arc whips and Solar into hammers. Kudos for trying to avoid the stereotype of 4, but come on.
Yep. I do like the Solar hammers. Of the Solar subclasses, I think Hunter gets the short end of the stick because it's just gun.
Yeah, but I like this. I like Hunters. I like Hunters a lot.
It's very much you bring a gun to a knife fight and you've got a good gun and it can shoot. But the other two are just, I think, more cool. You got the hammers and you got the Phoenix sword. But yeah, apparently they had to buff all of the original light subclasses because Stasis was too OP. So the other 3 getting buffed and Stasis getting nerfed meant the old 3 were actually just kind of ahead of the curve. And depending on what season you play, one or more of those is going to be doubly ahead of the curve alongside whatever's the new hotness. So this is something that only people with the season pass get, but you've got a seasonal artifact that lets you unlock perks that give you, perks. It's like having an extra third of your subclass in passives.
Sort of. I don't think the seasonal artifact locked behind the season pass, because some of the effects, that's bollocks, because a lot of the effects that it gives you are literally just ways to counter the champions.
Yes. That's basically a case of, do you want to fight champions? If so, be a subscriber, get your season pass, pay your quarter of the price of a new game every 3 months.
Well, that's not true. The season pass is less than a tenner, but...
Well, the game is 40 quid, and the season pass has gone up to 12?
Okay, here's the thing, isn't it? The game isn't 40 quid. The game is technically free.
Yeah.
And I use the term technically because, you can't play any... Here's how it should be. When a new expansion comes out, the old expansions should then be free. FF14 fucking does it. It's why are you comparing it to an MMO? Because Destiny 2 wants to be an MMO so fucking bad, it might as well just commit to the bit.
Yep. Now, here's the thing with 14. If you didn't pick up Stormblood for free, it's back to full price again.
The amount of times, though, that if you're buying the game now, you're not going to buy just FF14.
No.
Well, that being said, you can't just buy FF14, because Up to Heaven's Ward is technically free.
Yep. So what you would do is you'd buy the game plus current expansion for slightly more than just game, and that just gives you old expansions for free.
Yeah.
Well, not for free. It's for the price that you paid.
Yeah, but it's like when we hopped on Destiny 1. When we hopped on Destiny 1, okay, that was loud. There was, apologies if people heard someone shout. For some reason, someone's shouting downstairs. There you go, that's disclaimed that. When we hopped on Destiny 1, Rick, as you know, we hopped on Taken King, and when you hop on Taken King, all the previous expansions came with it, although I think the previous expansions were rather minimal and wank, but they were still free.
One of them was 2 missions long, literally 2 missions long,
still
and that was
free.
The first one they ever did. Yep. But when they were launched, they were 20 quid each.
That's ridiculous.
Yep. So when Taken King launched at 40 quid, people were like, man, this expansion is the price of the base game. It better be good. And then it was. And I think we paid about 50% more than just the Taken King price to get the base game, both expansions, because you could just buy Taken King on its own if you already had the game. But we didn't. We just hopped straight in with a multi-pack of everything.
Yeah, it's one of those. Man, I'm just thinking back to Dragon Age Origins, where Dragon Age Awakening was half the price of Origins.
Yeah. Man, Origins, you can't get the DLC anymore. If you don't have the DLC, you can't buy it.
Well, I get what you're saying, but you can buy Dragon Age Complete Edition.
Yeah.
So I get what you mean, but if you didn't play Dragon Age when it came out, you can just buy it as the full complete set. So,
So my Xbox version can't, but anyone else can.
Why the fuck are you going to go back? Do you even still have your Xbox plugged in?
It's not plugged in, but I can touch it with my foot.
Oh, right, yeah. I've seen your setup. There's no way in a million years you're setting up your Xbox to play Dragon Age.
Nope. Especially since I have it on Steam from a Humble Bundle where it was £1.
There you go. Yeah,
but even then,
we left off at, basically, we just touched ground on the actual planet, and then we sort of went on a rant about bows, and now we're talking about Dragon Age, which shows you how much we give a fuck about Destiny.
Yeah, we meet the two Cloud Striders, and I'm like, oh, cool, look at this new playable race, and it turns out, no, those are the only two Cloud Striders that there are. Everyone else on Neomuna is like a little floating hologram sprite because everyone has uploaded their brains to the cloud.
Yeah, and they kind of seeing as we were talking about Grey Wardens, it's a pretty good analogy because these Cloud Striders get the deal of a lifetime in that, you got 50 years.
I think it's 10 years.
I remember seeing the word 50 because Rohan's old as fuck. It'd be a bit weird for Rohan to have been doing this for less than 10 years.
Apparently, it just really does super age you really quickly.
I could have sworn it was 50, but okay, I won't argue.
I mean, if it is 50, then cool, but I'm pretty sure it's 10. It's a very short life of you start doing Cloud Strider stuff and you're now on a timer. You will eventually just expire because as much as your implants can try to help you regenerate from things, it still makes scar tissue, and eventually you will be nothing but scar tissue, and there'll be no way to keep you going after that. But yeah, they try to make these super soldiers with this essentially do you remember Siva?
Yes.
The super virus that could create anything? Yeah, apparently it's like a tame version of that they use.
That got written out the fucking plot real quick.
Yeah. They stopped caring about Siva very quickly as soon as people stopped trying to use it. I think the only people that use Siva nowadays are the Guardians with that one exotic that just spawns Siva grenades when you kill something.
Siva was basically introduced for the Iron Banner DLC for Destiny 1, which was the last DLC, which means the moment Destiny 2 came around, it was super fucking irrelevant.
Yep.
I think it's kind of implied that the Red Legion just fucking went to Earth and solved all the problems from Destiny 1 while enslaving the Guardians.
Yep. You got this virus around? No, you don't. You now got a crater where the virus was. So yeah, we bomb around Neomuna doing busy work. We get introduced to a thing called the Radial Mast, and we know it's called the Radial Mast because Osiris won't shut the fuck up about it. We get told about the Veil. We know it's the Veil because Osiris won't shut the fuck up about it. Osiris is our dude in the chair, and all he does is moan about how you've not done the whole campaign yet.
Yeah, but it's one of those where it's very heavily implied that he seems to think that if he still had his ghost, he would have solved this problem already.
Or at least he thinks he would have done. Like, he doesn't know how difficult it is to fight against both the actual plot and the writers enforcing the plot.
Sure.
Like, if it was him, he would have been able to, master Strand immediately and then go do stuff. And he does behind the scenes, except he does it without being shot at. So it's not exactly a fair comparison, because he gets to sit around and meditate and spend time at the puka pond. And we get introduced to pukas, which are a bit of a nothing, but they're like darkness infused sprites that float around in the sky, and it's basically a replacement for a ghost, but not really.
Okay. I already left my mind.
Yeah. If you want to unlock more Strand abilities, you go to the puka pond.
I do know that bit.
Yep.
It's one of those. I enjoyed the campaign while I was playing it, but looking back, the plot was wank.
Yep, like plot beats I can remember. Callus is taunting you while you're in his ship, and then Keitel sends you some coordinates and then shows up and rescues you.
Alright, I've got a very important question, Rick, because I wasn't around when Keitel got introduced, but would you?
I don't think she'd let me.
Well, the implication is that she's asking.
Probably, yes. Like, she's a very powerful lady. It's very difficult to say no to that.
I do like warrior women.
Yeah.
Now, all I'm thinking is there any Rule 34 of Keitel? There's got to be, right? There's got to be at least one.
Phone to hand,
there's got to be at least one person with artistic talent who gets the horn by looking at Keitel.
Yeah, just an elephant lady without the trunk.
Is that what they look like?
I think they basically do. They're basically just elephants without trunks.
Okay.
Which, I know, that sounds like Elcor, and people definitely get the horn for Elcor.
Do they?
I mean, maybe just for the meme, but yeah.
There's a meme about being horny for Elcor.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. Let's get back to Destiny 2.
There is Rule 34 of Kydal.
How many images? I bet you there's sub 50.
I am seeing 3.
3! There's 3 horny bastards who want to fuck an empress.
And one of them is the worst Rule 34 ever. It's just a picture of her with an X-ray of what she might have.
Weird, but okay. Is this going to be a new reoccurring segment on Retrospective? Let's just pick a random character and look at porn.
Is there Rule 34 of it? No, normally, yes.
We're doing Dark Souls next. Dark Sun Gwendolyn. Oh, well, there's a lot.
I mean, he comes with his own tentacles. Of course there is.
They're technically snakes.
Yes. So we do go through our little training montage. We get thrown against Vex, who they are there as well. Like, I don't think the Vex have been a credible threat since like vanilla.
Yeah.
Like they showed up for Curse of Osiris, but that was just because that's where they were at the time.
Well, that tends to be Vex's deal, isn't it? Is like whenever you fight Vex, the Vex aren't really fighting you. You just happen to be at the same place.
Yeah, they're doing what they want to do, and they're trying to like affect past, so that it just retcons the Vex into being in control, and you want to stop that from happening, so they defend themselves against you, and that's it.
That's saying that exotic quest was a right bastard first time we did it, before getting our exotic weapons and then making the quest piss.
Oh yes. Yeah, those exotic quests that revolve around having the exotic. There's 2 of those as well. There's the one where you're just going through that. Oh yeah. Like the one where you're going through the garden, which is actually a really cool mission. I really like that mission. Where you get Rohan's. For him, it's an assault rifle. For you, it's a heavy machine gun. Mm-hmm. And like I can't speak to how good or bad that weapon is outside of that mission, but inside that mission, it really shines.
If you like machine guns, it's good. If you don't like machine guns, it's ass.
Yep.
I like machine guns because they're basically a utility version of the linear fusion rifle.
Yes.
Like, if you're using a linear fusion rifle on anything that's not a boss, it's a waste. If you're using a machine gun on a boss, it's effective. If you're using a machine gun on droves and droves of mooks, it's effective.
Yep. I like using machine guns on mini bosses because it chews through them very quickly.
Yeah, but so does a rocket to the face.
Yeah, however, if you miss with a rocket...
I don't miss with rockets.
You whiff. Okay. Whereas if you miss with a machine gun, all you have to do is correct your course, and you've only lost like 3% of your ammo.
Usually mini bosses have enough mooks around them that even if you miss with a rocket launcher, you're still killing a bunch of shit.
Oh yeah. You're making a mushroom cloud and you're killing at least 5 red bars. But yeah, we get our training montage against the Vex. We master Strand to a degree, but not good enough, because we then tried to take it to destroy the radial mast, and we can't because, again, we're sleepy, and Rohan has to sacrifice himself to blow it up so we can use our powers for the rest of the campaign.
Yeah, then Nimbus is really sad for the rest of the campaign.
Yeah, he tries to hide it.
No,
he's pretty
if he
sad.
tries to hide it, he does a piss poor job.
Yeah, like I think they told the voice actor, "You're always chipper," so he was always chipper. And he spent like one mission, like when you go back to him, he says, "I don't want to talk about it." And then the story continues. He actually deals with his grief during the mission where you get that one machine gun.
Yeah. That's when you see him actually, because he wants to go out and be doing all this shit, and Osiris has to be like Papa Osiris for 5 minutes and be like, "Rohan wouldn't want you doing this." And Nimbus is like, "You knew Rohan for like 2 minutes, you old fuck."
Yeah. Well, seeing as Nimbus is an initiate, he might as well have only known him for a few minutes as well.
I meant him talking to Osiris. Osiris knew him for 2 minutes.
Yeah. Like, we've seen pretty much all the interactions that they've had.
Yeah. Pretty much, man. Pretty much.
And then the end of the game comes round, and you have your assault on Callus, and you fight Callus after going through. Like, okay, that last mission.
Yeah, go
on. There's a lot of parkour at the beginning.
Yeah.
Which is there's a real easy way to do it if you just latch onto a thresher and get really lucky with it. However, if you have any amount of lag, then your tether will run out at the wrong time and you'll just get flung off into the universe.
Yeah, I too did this. It
feels really good when you do it right. Yeah.
I did it a long way.
Feels really great.
Like, nah.
I've succeeded at it once.
I tried it once and the threshold kept moving too fast.
Yep. The majority of the times I get flung off into the universe, so I've just given up on trying it for the foreseeable future. So if I ever have to do that mission again, yeah, I'm going the long way around. After that bit, there's the tower defense, where you've got some little green nodes and you can use those to sling around and get to the other turrets and use those to destroy the tanks, which is great. And then you have like what feels like 15 minutes of going through
it's so fucking
building.
Long.
And Callus just goes through the building like it's nothing to be there for the time you get there. So it just feels like we should just wait for him to do that and jump down the same fucking hole.
Yeah, there's no urgency in this game. It's a shooter. There's never urgency in shooters. That being said, the reason why the tower defense felt like 15 minutes is it was a tower defense for about 3 minutes, and then the rest of that time was an epic last stand, which wasn't a last stand because Keitel was there and she's still alive.
Yep. Yeah, she gives the last stand speech of, if we die today, we die being fucking badasses.
Like,
Me, my Cabal.
The second that speech finished, I went, you're not going to fucking die.
No.
We should probably mention, actually, very quickly, it was about halfway through this season, maybe a bit longer, that unfortunately Lance Reddick did pass away.
Yes. So he's available for the next season, the Season of the Deep, and we have been told that all the content for which he has lines recorded has essentially been completed.
Yeah.
So whether that means that Season of the Deep is his last appearance or not, we don't know.
I'm going to assume it is, because the fact we see Cade in that trailer makes me think they're like, well, Zavala we can't use, so we need Cade back. Otherwise, Cade's death was actually a stupid thing to do in the first place. Yeah,
well, that was basically because they didn't want to keep paying Nathan Fillion. But also in that trailer, very obviously, there is no Zavala. Yeah. It's just Ikora in what appears to be inside the Traveler.
Yeah, that shit's fucked. That being said, it's kind of relevant because Season of the Deep's still part of the same expansion. That first mission for Season of the Deep, where you land and then you've got basically every single Titan ever landing because they fucking love Sloane.
Yeah, all the Titans landing on Titan and they're doing their mission and the Drifter comes along and gate crashes.
I'm just saying, like, I felt because I play as a Titan, I don't know why the moment just felt more magical.
Yeah. I like the idea of Saint 14 just going, it's the Titan mission on Titan. And
that's the sort of thing he'd do, though.
Yeah, Drifter going, yeah, but she owes me a drink.
Yeah.
And then he's actually the MVP of that opening mission because he gives you the ability to not die in the water.
Yeah, when you get to Sloane as well, he looks her over and just goes, damn, that's not how that's meant to work.
Yep.
But yeah, we jump forward a little bit. The Callus boss fight was wank. I had so many resets on this.
I did it first time without knowing that the strand thing was there.
Yeah, okay. So here's what happened: is I saw the strand thing that gives you strand. So my gamer brain goes, obviously strand must be the way to deal with this boss.
Yeah,
and
then
because of the amount,
you had I'm gonna say you had the benefit of being able to grapple onto things when you got blasted off into the ether.
It wasn't a benefit because what would happen is I would want to jump. I would only want to use my rope on the orbs because that way it instantly recharged so I could use it, and sometimes the angle was just wrong, and if you get flung off at the wrong angle you just can't save yourself and it would prematurely end the boss fight. The boss fight isn't even a challenge.
Yeah, it's the Tormentors.
The Tormentors weren't a problem for me either because I had Kryptoninia fusion rifle specifically for that fight and I just fucked him up with that. But the challenge for me was staying in the boss arena.
Yeah, this boss fight is so much easier with the Quicksilver Storm, which is the assault rifle that you get for A, for pre-ordering this whole expansion, B, for buying the full thing with the Super Season Pass, or C, you wait until the second season and you get it for free. So we did the latter.
Well, no, we didn't, because the second season didn't start till after we beat the expansion.
Yeah, exactly. So we didn't get the assault rifle until after that. So it's only easy on subsequent revisits.
Like that's what you meant.
Weekly freebie.
I didn't even know there was a weekly freebie.
Yeah, I also found out about a cheese. You know the stairs down to the boss arena? You can hide underneath them and you can shoot through them, and the boss cannot.
Oh, that would have been nice.
It works for the phase 1, but for phase 2 it doesn't.
Yeah,
it has you rejoin your fire team.
Phase 2 really bothered me because I got there about 3 times before actually beating the fight. So it wasn't entirely traversal, but it's one of those where once I was fighting him one-on-one, I just misjudged his steps. Because that's... You need to kill the Scions as they appear during that, otherwise you're constantly getting shot in the bum.
Yeah.
And Callus has gone full melee mode, and if he gets in close, he will whack you, and the force of it sends you 1,000 miles away. Also, the arena is now surrounded by this weird webbing goo stuff that will murder you.
Yeah. The webbing is the arse end of the veil, which appears to basically just be a massive fucking chalice.
Great.
Apparently it's the dark equivalent of the Traveler. Doesn't have a will of its own, really. And apparently the Strand in general is because the veil is here, casting its roots around the planet. And, like, you get to see Strand because of how thin it has made the, another veil, like the veil between power and reality in this area. And because you've now got it, you've got it all around the solar system.
Fair enough.
The expansion ends with the Witness taking control of your ghost, going into the veil and establishing a link to the Traveler.
It's something Destiny likes to do quite a lot, in that you'll beat all the mission, you'll do everything perfectly, and then in the cutscene you fuck it up.
Yep. You got no choice but to lose in the cutscene. Your player character is like trying to snipe your ghost and like can't do it, and then Nimbus goes and rescues him after it gets released in control. And Ghost goes, "What happens?" And Keitel just goes, "Yeah, we just lost."
It was all your fault. Damn you, Nolan North.
Yep. This wouldn't have happened with the Dinklebot.
Yeah, because guess what? If it was the Dinklebot, the fucking Guardian wouldn't have had no problem sniping that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the B plot going on at the same time is Shadow Legion are kidnapping people. Go rescue them, and that's basically the plot of Battlegrounds.
Yeah, the first mission has you rescuing Amanda.
Yeah, you get some ship teeth between Amanda and Crow. Amanda shoots Crow with a shotgun, and then he resurrects, and it's one of those where I think the gag is, man, thankfully I can resurrect, and Amanda goes, "Oh yeah, you can, can't you?" And then she warms up to him, and they progress from will they won't they to they probably will, and then Holiday just dies like really unceremoniously at the end of a mission.
Yeah, we already knew Holiday was going to die, because at the very end of the first mission, Crow's going all like, "You only have one life, Amanda, please don't throw it away," and it's like, you just signed her death warrant.
Yep.
And then we had that really fucking awkward moment, Rick, where I was playing on the tower and we were just shooting the shit. I went, "Rick, Amanda Holiday's not on the map anymore." And then I went over to her area, and it's like, I think Amanda Holiday's fucking dead.
Yeah. So here's the thing. When you said that, I went back and replayed the opening cutscene on a different character. And, and like, yeah, you see her die in that opening cutscene. And then, no, that's not when she dies. She dies someplace else.
Destiny has no consistency, and considering how much money they try and milk out of you, it should have some.
Now, here's the thing. I have said that the Neomuna campaign feels like a season.
I get you, kind of.
And that, like, because, yes, it's a new planet, and yes, new planets are new expansions. However, it feels more like a season than, say, Witch Queen, which was green-themed, which also a lot of the Strand stuff, obviously it's green, but it also, the Threadlings feel like a kind of hivey thing. Apparently, Strand was meant to be for Witch Queen, but it had to be delayed, so they bullshit a way to make the green hivey thing where you swing around on a web like Spider-Man not be for the Hive expansion.
Sure. I've not played the Hive expansion, so...
Like, I know that we kill Savathun at the end.
Well, so do I now, because you told me at the beginning.
Yeah, because it sets up the ending of the Season of the Deep, where they say, "Oh yeah, we're going to get Savathun back." So nothing really happens in the Season of Defiance. You get to talk to Marisol a bit. You get to go to the farm.
Yeah, the place has been fucking useless since the beginning of Destiny 2.
You get to talk to Mithrax again, who apparently the last time you got to go to the farm was when Mithrax was there, and that's how you unlocked the Siva rifle.
Okay.
So it was like an exotic quest for that, but yeah, like the farm is worthless.
Well, the farm used to be basically your hub until you beat Destiny 2's main campaign, back when Destiny 2's main campaign existed in the game, and then you got the tower and the Traveller back, and then it's like, cool, now the farm is actually defunct.
Yep. As soon as you got the... I'm saying I say prototype tower. What I really mean is like a tower that's been half rebuilt. It doesn't seem to have progressed much beyond that, because it's nowhere near as fun as it used to be in Destiny 1, where you could just like do stuff there.
There wasn't really much to do. I remember a lot of my time spent in the tower in Destiny 1 was getting fed up with you guys, because you guys kept insisting on fucking around with your inventories, and I was sat in the corner looking at my laptop while you guys were doing shit, because I was like, I want to play the shoot bang, but my teammates are lagging.
Yep. Like, we got loot. It had to go somewhere.
I dismantled all the shit that was useless, which was most of it.
Yeah, well, you have a different bar to useless as the rest of us.
Evidently.
Yeah. Like, you got the best battle rifle in the game and you just immediately dismantled it because you don't like them.
I mean, if I'm not going to use the fucking thing, you guys, basically, what I'm hearing is you guys are loot goblins.
Oh, yeah. It's a looter shooter. Like, of course we're going to be loot goblins in a looter shooter.
You don't hoard all the crap.
I mean, you do until it becomes a problem, and then you get rid of it, and then you just, like, keep the best ones of it.
Just get rid of it as soon as you get it, because, you can tell at a glance reasonably that you're not going to keep it.
Fair.
It doesn't matter.
It's a bit more difficult.
I'm yelling at you for problems that I didn't talk to you about 7 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Man,
I'm over it. I promise.
Man, it is old as well, isn't it? It's like Destiny 1 was like 9 years ago. We got into it 8 years ago. So, yeah, 7 years ago would have been Iron Banner. Rise of Iron, sorry.
I'm over it. Let's move on with our lives.
Yep. So Season of the Deep is not one you want to play if you've got thalassophobia, because a lot of it is you go on deep dives. It feels very oppressive. You got to go between bubbles. It's like a 3D first-person version of being in Sonic 1 and having to go between bubbles and getting told, oh yeah, you're drowning right now.
The single-player version of this, where sometimes you just miss switches because they're not in the place they should be, is infuriating.
Oh yes. The second mission of it, I believe, is the one where I had to go look it up on YouTube, like where the fucking switch was, because I couldn't find it. I was getting mad.
Yeah, because up until that point, every single switch was right next to the fucking door.
Yep, yeah. It wasn't like you have to backtrack to literally the midpoint of this section.
Which, don't get me wrong, isn't very far, but it's very annoying when all you want to do is shoot Hive.
Yep.
I fell in love with the game type that came with this immediately because it's the closest thing I've had to Mass Effect 3 since Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, I feel you. The one where the better you do, the longer you can keep doing it.
Not strictly true, but
yeah, you get like the like mini roguelike modifiers.
Yeah, but it's always the same 5 fucking things.
yeah, it's a blessing of ours. So you go, do you want to do more kinetic damage, or do you want your grenades to recharge faster?
Oh no, sorry, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about the group thing, which is 6 players.
Oh yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know what your thing you're on about. I could leave it. So much so, I've only played it twice because the stories made me play it.
The other thing that happened during this is that there is another dungeon pass. If you don't buy the dungeon pass, you can't do the dungeon.
Yeah, I was very confused when I bought Lightfall and there was a dungeon at the end of it that I wasn't allowed to access.
Yep. Apparently this is just the thing that they do. They nickel and dime every single piece of content. Apparently this dungeon is really important for the story because, you find Oryx's corpse and a bunch of Hive are trying to revive it, because of course they are, because they're Hive, and you have to defeat them and stop them from doing so. And at the end of this, they bring Oryx's corpse back to the tower and don't tell any of the citizens.
That seems like a bad idea.
Yep, Savathun's corpse and Oryx's corpse are both at the tower. I wonder what's going to happen.
They're gonna fuck. No, yeah, that's the point, isn't it? Because it's like the whole point with Cade coming back is that they're probably going to try and fill Savathun and Oryx with light, making them basically come back to life, but good.
Savathun, yes. I think Oryx, no.
I just said they were going to try and do that. I didn't say that's what's going to happen. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
at
they're
least
doing
one of them's
doing
going
it with
on a
Savathun.
rampage, absolutely.
I think they're going to do it with Savathun, and then Savathun's going to do it with Oryx, and then we're going to have to put Oryx down immediately.
Here's the thing. I don't like having to fight the same boss again and again and again.
At least we've not fought Oryx since Destiny 1.
I guess.
But yeah,
it's bollocks.
It's bothersome. It's bollocks and it's bothersome that we just keep having to recycle the same villains over and over again until we finally put them in the earth. Like, we think we've done it with Callus finally.
That's the problem with a game where people can get infinite fucking respawns, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, we've seen Callus die. We've seen his corpse get all rooted, and you were able to climb up his body and teabag his face. Doesn't mean he ain't coming back.
Probably. I just want Destiny to be re-released as a single-player game.
Yeah. Destiny, the Legacy Collection.
Like, for real, I'd like to do the raids. I really would love to do the raids. I don't trust randos. And I don't trust my own skill level. I like Destiny. I'm not saying I'm great at it.
Oh, definitely. Like, I have 100% fallen into complacent gamer syndrome of, I like this gun type, I'm going to rely on it, and that might not be optimal for high-level play.
It's also
it probably is if I was better at the game, but yeah.
It's also the thing, Rick, where I've played games with you where after about 5 minutes into the map, I just straight up go, look, I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just playing awful because I've died like 10 times in 5 minutes, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm fucking up.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes when you're playing video games, you just have a bad day.
But yeah, as you do more Sloan stuff, you get more and more bits of lore. Turns out the Leviathan that she's bonded to is from the same planet as the Hive.
Shocker.
And
bear in mind, I'm not up to date on this bit of plot.
Okay. Neither am I. I keep having to get plot digests from,
yeah, but at least you've got
YouTube.
the excuse of your damn fucking game won't work at the moment.
Yeah, my PC's dead.
My excuse is that I've been playing Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah. Like hearing good things about that.
It's a much more fun experience, I can tell you that. Although there's a lot of points where it does not feel like Final Fantasy.
Oh, I'm sure, but yeah, like the game being complete is a big point in its favor.
Damn, that's a sad state of affairs, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, I don't know because I've not heard about people moaning about the ending or anything. People moaned about the ending of 15 because it felt like nothing, and then it was meant to be fixed in the DLCs.
I was going to say, like, hindsight's a benefit on that one because by all accounts, 15 wasn't anywhere near finished. They rushed that shit.
Yeah, and then the DLCs were meant to finish it, and then the last DLC that was meant to super finish it actually got cancelled.
Was that the Arden one, or...?
No, the Arden one was the last one that got released. You were meant to get a episode Noctis. It was like the actual ending DLC. And possibly an episode Luna Freya, but they relegated that to a fucking novel.
Honestly, I don't know why I'm asking questions, because a lot of this shit means fuck all to me.
Yeah. So Luna Freya was the princess, and she dies early on.
Okay.
So there you go. Yeah, like Noctis' actual waifu.
Sure. Noctis' actual waifu is Lightning, because originally this game was going to be the Final Fantasy 13 part 700.
Yep.
Should we do the MVPs and stuff? This episode might be getting a bit long in the tooth, unless there's some closing statements.
Nah, just the closing statement is that end of Season of the Deep is setting up the future, that we're going to have to bring Savathûn back, and nobody's happy about it, and we're gearing up for the final shape. We've got 2 more seasons to go before that. We don't know what's going to happen, but we can guess that there's going to be more shooting and more banging. So, yeah, let's go to a final 3. So, from Destiny 2 Lightfall, do you have a favourite moment?
My favourite moment was, straight up, no lie, that opening mission.
Yeah?
Alright,
I feel it.
I do tell a lie. The opening mission up until the first Tormentor encounter.
Yeah.
Because that was just bollocks.
Yeah. It just appears out of nowhere, and the only way you can ever dodge it is by having done it before.
I mean, I didn't... you say it insta-kills you, and I guess it was just my Titan bias that meant that fight was actually a mini-fight, but it's a worthless mini-fight, because when you encounter the same Tormentor later on, any health you chipped away has been restored, so it might as well not fucking happen.
Yeah, and you know it's the same Tormentor because he's got a name.
But yeah, what about you? Do you have a favourite moment?
It's a bit sappy, but playing through the Vexcalibur exotic mission with you, just overcoming like the little mini challenges like as part of even just a 2-person fire team. Despite it was like a really cute little
me
bonding
being an arsehole almost the entire way.
Oh, yeah, I mean, partially because of it.
Now, listen.
I mean, we're still doing this show all this time later, aren't we?
Oh, that's true enough. I don't think I've ever been too much of an arsehole to you about the podcast.
No. But yeah, the idea is it's just more of experiencing you, like.
I know for a fact that the first time we went through it, I was probably a dickhead. The second and third time, I was too busy reading a guide to do all the secrets to be angry.
Yes. We did do pretty well with the cipher shit, you know, where you got to do diamond, square, diamond, diamond.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, having you do the shoot bang and, like, doing what you do best as a Titan and like absorbing hits and dishing it out twice as hard while I did the clandestine cipher bullshit. Like it felt like way better with 2 people than it does trying to solo it. Like orders of magnitude better. I
remember the first time we did it where we didn't have Vexcalibur and that portion of the game was hell.
Oh yeah, because we didn't know where the fuck to go.
No, it wasn't. No, I mean specifically the cipher bit, because when you got Vexcalibur equipped, every single Vex you fight in that, apart from Minotaurs, go down in one swing.
Oh yeah, you just middle click and you're good to go.
yeah. For me, it's R1 because PlayStation, but same principle.
Yeah. In fact, I think I've even put middle click as melee, even though it's not meant to be there. So it's just when you've got a mouse, your middle mouse button is right there. Why wouldn't you make that your melee?
Well, I get what you're saying. However, because it's a glaive, your shoot button R1 becomes melee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough.
Oh no, wait, is it R2? Fuck it, I've forgotten how to play Destiny, Rick.
It's L2 aim, R2 shoot.
Right.
L1 I guess is block for the glaive, and R1 is your melee.
Maybe.
Or R3.
I thought it was R3, but now I'm thinking about it. I think I hit the shoulder button. Doesn't matter. Either way, it was wank before we got for Excalibur, and I have no doubt that I was getting very when I get frustrated, I don't think my anger just seeps out, as Rick well knows because we play games a lot together. The only time my frustration and anger doesn't seep out is when we're playing Dark Souls, but usually I keep it bottled in and then I have a go at Rick at the end of the game.
Yes. Usually it's because my build is all over the place.
It's always because your build is all over the place. I didn't want to say it, but it's just like, whenever we're stopping to level up, you're talking about adding faith, and I've seen you use sorceries. I'm like, why are you adding faith? I want to be a Spellblade with all the Spellblade weapons. And I'm like, your build's gonna suck.
I've done that once.
Yeah, I know, but it's the most egregious example I can think of.
Yeah, when my build's all over the place in Dark Souls, it's normally because I'm trying to do like an like strength faith or dex faith or dex int or strength int or whatever. And 99% of the time, I'm just using the physical weapon.
Yeah, because that's how you should play a spellcaster in Dark Souls.
It's just how you should play Dark Souls.
But, it's like... again, we're showing how little we care about Destiny by the fact we're talking about Dark Souls.
The game itself is really fun. They've got the Bungie magic and everything, but oh well. Yeah, so we can't always talk about the good. We sometimes have to talk about the bad. What's the weakest link of Destiny 2 Lightfall?
It's the most obvious weakest link in the sense that I bought it opportunistically, and then as soon as you buy it and you look into it, you got to spend not a lot of money, but basically a full game's worth of money if you actually want to play everything, each expansion, but they kind of hide it from you on the surface level.
Yeah, it's one game for the price of 3.
Well, yeah, it's not even, the season pass is less than a tenner, and I'm like, that's reasonable. Oh, do you want the dungeon key? That's also less than a tenner. Oh, do you want...
I think the dungeon key is 20 quid.
Fucking hell, really? It's bollocks, I can absolutely understand why Bungie's getting the shit that it gets. Don't get me wrong, I'm not on the level that I'm like, I will never touch a Bungie game again, because that's silly. But, it is a bit of a sting.
Man, it's wild that they're owned by Sony now, isn't it?
With an asterisk. Basically, there's a bunch of acquisitions by both Sony and Microsoft that are being examined under microscope in certain countries to be like, is this okay?
Yeah, Bungie is small enough that they can get away with it. Activision being that big is kind of a big deal for Microsoft to be acquiring, so that's kind of like tripping the antitrust.
Yeah. Well, wasn't literally buying Bungie a Sony counteraction?
Yes.
Which is
because Bungie, it wasn't that long ago that Bungie broke free of Activision, which is who they ran to after they broke free of Microsoft.
Yeah, look how well that worked for them.
Yep.
Bungie's had a string of bad luck when it comes to publishers.
It feels like they should have just stuck with Microsoft because they were getting respected. They just wanted to make more money. Yeah, people blame a lot of the nickel and diming on having to satisfy Activision as a subcontractor, and then it got worse when they broke free. So, oh well.
Man, I'm in that camp, man. When everyone was giving Bungie shit during the opening days of Destiny 2, I was like, well, it's probably more of an Activision thing. Because let's be honest, I should say. Activision is equally scummy.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
But anyway, yeah, it has only seemed to have gotten worse, and it's, I'd say it's baffling, but it's literally motivated by greed, which is like 9/10 of the industry at this point. But anyway, Rick, what about you? Have you got a weakest link?
Mine is just one that I brought up, that it feels like, the expansion feels like a season, but I think your weakest link is actually more cromulent in that, yeah, it's one game for the price of 3. If we'd have known as acutely that this was going to be the case going in, we may not have done, but I'm still kind of glad that we did, because it's a different type of game to what we normally play together. It's got the Bungie magic, so I don't regret buying the expansion. I maybe am sore about having to pay extra for being able to continue to play the expansion.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Well, they even do it when you buy the expansion. It's like, you can also buy the expansion pass, and it was like a very confusing wording in the first place, because I'm like, what? And then evidently the expansion pass is, you get the season each season. You probably don't get the dungeon keys each season, but you'd assume you'd hope as much.
You get the other 3 seasons. The stupid thing about the expansion pass is it costs the same as 4 seasons.
Right. Right.
Despite the fact that you only get 3, because the first one comes for free anyway. But,
I get what you mean.
If I'd have known that you got 1 season for free, then I would have hung fire until Season of the Deep, because this feels like the one that's actually the most narratively impactful. And also, it's Sloane!
And also, it's the fact that all of the story stuff for the Defiant Battle Zones was already out by the time we jumped onto the season, whereas with the Season of the Deep, none of the story stuff had been out yet, so you can do one a week without overwhelming yourself.
Yeah. So, with that out of the way, do you have an MVP?
I think it's got to be Nimbus, really.
Sure.
Every time I spoke to the dude, it was fun, except for the obvious depression that he had after Rohan went. But, every time I spoke to him to get my bounties, I suddenly got hyped up about doing fucking bounties of all things.
Yep. Apologies, it's, I believe they go by they.
Oh, fair enough. All of them look very masculine, so I just assumed, and that's on me.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't think gender ever came up, or if they did, I don't know. I don't think we ever met anyone apart from the one hologram that acts feminine.
Yeah, like we've got Jisoo Colorando. I only know his name because he keeps saying it every time he's in a speech. And yeah, there's Quinn, who gives you your weekly Neomuna shit that's not Nimbus.
Yeah, they're the basically the head of museum, right?
Yeah.
And
they've got 2 personalities. They've got the customer service voice that they use for museum recordings, and they got the man, I'm done with this shit voice for when they're talking to you directly.
I
kind of dig it.
As a fan of museums, I will say that museum looks rather shit. Even more so considering it doubles up as a fucking basically graveyard / memorial.
Yeah, it's a graveyard memorial, and like each one of the memorials is like a big old server which you can use to access all the data that they recorded during their lives, which is like, as far as data preservation is great, but it's not the kind of thing you can portray that easily in media like this.
Yeah, and also considering one of the problems on your planet is a Vex incursion, it's super at risk.
Yeah. Yes, like that's part of the reason. Like they're using all this data as like a target. Like the reason that they're there is they're targeting that and also the Veil.
But yeah, Nimbus was fun throughout. I hope they get involved in more content, but because of their role in the game as a planet vendor, we already know they're not showing up again outside of Neomuna.
Not just a planet vendor, but like narratively, they are the guardian of Neomuna. They're like there's only one. There's one Cloud Strider.
Well, okay, there's that as well then. But it's one of those where it's always a shame because there's some fun vendors. Like, it would be cool to see Devram outside of the fucking farm.
Yeah. Although it is nice to see him at all. Like, I think the Ghost just when you go down to the EDZ back in the in that season, the Ghost just goes, Devram, and he goes, hello to you too, Ghost.
Because Devram's cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I've told this story on the podcast. If I have, I apologise. I remember when we first played Destiny 2 and it frightened the shit out of me because someone said over the comms during the early game, Dev, are you there? And I want to point out, there's no one in video games or media ever called fucking Devon, so I got freaked the fuck out because I thought the game came to life for 2 seconds.
I think the closest thing is Devon and Devon from Big Mouth is the closest thing to that, I guess. And neither of them are spelled that way.
One of the closest was there used to be a wrestler called Devon Dudley. So much so there was like 2 wrestling nerds in school who would call me Devon, and I used to fucking hate it because that weren't my name. Anyway, I digress. Rick, it's time for you to also tell us your MVP.
My MVP is the Strand element. It's a very fun element to use. It really sold the expansion to me in general, beyond, just being able to play Destiny with friends. It's great to just cut loose and piss around with it. This is me never having played the new Spider-Man game, by the way.
Yeah, okay. That actually makes a lot more sense as well.
Yeah, so, Spider-Man game did it better, but, being able to do it in a shoot-bang game and also have a shoot-bang, it feels fun. It feels good. It feels fun. It feels good. The only thing that I would change is if you're out of combat, just make the grapples have 0 cooldown anyway.
Yeah, that'd be fucking nice.
Yeah, it just feels arbitrary to put it on a 7-second cooldown when you're hurtling off to your doom.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like I could kind of see the logic of respect it.
Yes.
As soon as you approach a lost sector, or basically if you're in an area with enemies, it goes on a cooldown. Which, to be fair, during free roam, you've always got enemies around. But when you're in like a mission, there's long stretches where there's no enemies. I can see the appeal of wanting to do it, but then people will bitch about that, and you know they will.
Yeah, because if you're not Strand, then why are you even doing this this long walking section without Strand? But yeah. So, I think that's it from us today. If you like the episode, you've got the comment section down below on YouTube. And if you're listening via one of the many audio platforms, you can send us an email. And where would that go to?
nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com. Once again, that is nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com.
Yep, it's going to be goodbye from us. So keep yourself safe, keep yourself happy.
Yeah, we're sorry for spending at least a third of the podcast talking about non-Destiny things.
It's fine. More than a third of our lives is non-Destiny things.
Oh, yeah, because a third of our life is sleep.
Yes, at best.
Yeah, see you guys.
Bye.